Hey, this is The Features, and you're listening to Recess with Spinelli.
You are listening to Recess with Spinelli, WSPN 91.1 FM, Skidmore Radio, and today we are here with the Nashville, Tennessee band, The Features. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh, thank you.
Now, you guys just released an EP called The Good Old Days last autumn, so is this a sign that full LP is going to be coming out soon?
We are in the middle of finishing one up, so yeah, we're hoping to have it out within the next 3 to 4 months.
Sound-wise, what can folks expect from it? Will it sound very similar to the recently released EP?
I don't think so, really. I think it kind of sounds more to me like some of our earlier recordings. We had an EP that came out, it was our first release, called The Beginning, and I think it's a little more like that. It's a little more like that record, mixed with our second record, which was Some Kind of Salvation.
Now, how long has this been in the writing process so far?
Not too long. We started on it right at the beginning of the year, and we've been doing it ourselves at home, so just I don't know, a few months.
Now, for the Good Old Days EP, I noticed you guys had a photo competition. So what was the idea behind the photo competition exactly? For people to send in their good old day photos of when they were kids.
You know, I don't know whose idea that was, actually. I really don't. Do you, Matt?
I don't. I think it was just, one of those, let's get people involved and let people share, some sort of memory that they have, what they might consider good old days. So that was the general idea behind that.
Now, the song Good Old Days, is this something that you guys were yearning about in the past, or is this a story about somebody else, maybe?
I mean, I guess it was. It just sort of, it wasn't. It's one of those songs I started like humming, and the lyrics just kind of fell into place. So it wasn't something that was like, thinking about it a whole lot, or you wouldn't say yearning. So it was just one of those songs that kind of came out, and it is what it is type thing.
So is that how the songwriting process goes most of the time, or was that a little bit of an outlier?
When it's easy, yeah, that's how it goes. When it's hard, no, not at all.
Another song that comes to mind with meanings is the other single, which was This Disorder, which came out a while ago. It was at 2013 at this point, I think, around there. And that's about smartphone use, right?
Yeah, it was.
So was that like a warning to everybody else, or is that kind of working with your own addiction to smartphones?
At the time, it was working with my own addiction. I just got one.
A lot of it was observation of other people's addictions too, right?
So what is your conclusion on the use of smartphones in today's society? Or the use of technology, screen technology?
I don't know if I could give a black and white answer for something like that, because I think it depends on what people use it for and how they're kind of wired,
Well, what do you think are some of the pros and cons?
I mean, I can only speak for myself. I like having an encyclopedia at my fingertips. I think that's great, but I'm not a person who's on social media or anything. But I have no issue with people who are either.
Speaking for myself, I think it can be... I think, using it can be distracting from, just life going on around you, whether you're just sitting down for dinner or whatever. I think it can get in the way of the things that could definitely be better without it, But it does have its pros, which are being able to walk from the hotel to here without getting completely lost. Maybe some people overdo it, maybe some people... I don't know. It's kind of whatever you think.
Now, one of the things that comes to mind, at least musically with the media, is that a lot of musicians nowadays, I think comes to mind would be like Kate Bush and Jack White have been calling for folks not to bring out smartphones during concerts and to put them down, put them away, because they think it's distracting and that people can't enjoy the shows. What's your take on that?
Personally, I don't understand someone holding up a phone and observing a show through a screen that big. Rather than watching the show. But again, it's like if someone's into that and like they're gonna watch it when they get home and have a memory from it and they like that, that's kind of their business. I think the artist also has a right to bring that up too,
Well, how do you feel about the whole thing? I guess the latest thing is obviously with copyright, with people then taking that and posting the videos or photos online. Any thoughts on that?
It's tough. It's really tough. It's one of those things where I don't know if there is a right or wrong answer for it. Personally, when I went to concerts, when I was 16 years old, going to see somebody, you couldn't carry anything in. You couldn't carry a mini recorder. You couldn't carry anything to like record a show. And I respected that. it's like people they would do bootleg copies of, you know, something, and there would be bootleg CDs out of a show, and you know, there was they considered that a big problem at the time. And now it's just, you know, it's just overload. There's just everybody that goes to a show can carry in something, and I don't know. It's tough.
It definitely convolutes things. You know, it's why if you type in like a band you like live into YouTube, you know, pretty much 99% of the videos are just going to sound like, and you're going to have like some shitty visual and everything, you know. And again, I'm not saying that's good or bad, but it's there.
Do you think that can hurt the band, though, as far as portraying sound quality?
It can absolutely hurt the band, and it hurts. I mean, it hurts a lot of things. But you know, what are you going to do? It's like it's a different world. We live in a different world, and whether you like it or not, it is what it is. Personally, I'm not the biggest fan of it, but you know, what are you going to do about it?
Actually, another thing on the latest technology out there as far as music sales, or streaming to be exact, the EP, Good Old Days, I noticed that was initially released on Spotify. It's the first place I heard it. And I noticed a lot of other bands, you know, are getting really on top of releasing things on Spotify or streaming services before the actual album is out. What advantage do you think that has to actual, let's just say, making money? How does that help you make money in the long run?
More people can hear you, and more people can get into your band. So for someone like us, I don't see it as being such a bad thing. I could see it hurting bands like the Black Keys, who I know have openly opposed it because it's potentially going into their album sales. I don't think we have to worry about that so much in the position we're in, though.
So how does that translate to album or ticket sales then? Is there a way to actually figure that out?
For where we're at, I wouldn't even begin to. I don't think we could quantify it for where we're at.
So you're mostly just looking at it as exposure for the band?
Yes.
Now, with Spotify, though, you do get some sort of compensation, right? A little bit?
I'm not even sure where it's at right now. I mean, we haven't seen it.
We don't see it. Yeah.
I mean, we're probably talking like fractions of pennies. I'm talking on my ass. I have no idea. That'd be my guess, though, honestly, yeah.
Now, getting down to a little bit more of the history of the band. Now, I understand the band's origins start in somewhere around middle school or high school in the town of Sparta, Tennessee, a town of somewhere around 5,000 people. Is that right?
It's pretty small. I'm not sure what the population is at this point, but yeah, it's a small town.
So how did that affect, I guess, the origins of the band? How did that make you guys want to come together and make music?
Well, I think because it was a small town, there wasn't a lot to do, so it sort of, I think that spawned, you know, we were all really into music and didn't have much else to do, so we started playing and really enjoyed it and kept doing it. So
now, was there something about the Sparta that lended that initial sound to get you going?
Yeah, being from there and being in that area and not really being exposed to a lot at the time, we definitely were influenced by a lot of classic rock. And, you know, I think that's always been with us as far as how we sound.
For this new album that'll be coming out, hopefully very soon, have you been able to test out the songs on the crowds a lot, or have you been reserving that and saving that for another tour?
We haven't. We've played one song, I think, from the record. We haven't really, because this one was written in a really different way, where the songs really came together through the recording rather than through performance.
Now, when you say songs coming together through recording rather than performance, what's the difference in how they come together?
The way we wrote was more writing with the intent of recording them, rather than it being a thing where we arranged the songs and tested them out for a live audience and kind of changed based on that reaction. It was more just a straight studio recording.
So is there a tentative theme or title?
It'll be called Sunset Rock.
And what's the underlying? Is there an underlying theme, or is it just a collection of tracks like a mixtape?
I wouldn't say it's like Good Old Days, but I would say there's a little bit of a theme of just sort of like growing up in Sparta.
So what would actually be one of those things about growing up in Sparta and surrounding that?
Oh, well, there's a song on the record called Connie, which is my aunt, and when I was younger, she used to come pick me up, and we just kind of go riding around, and she would always play, you know, her cassette tapes in the truck. She had these huge speakers behind the seats, these big kicker speakers, and we would just ride around listening to Van Halen, you know. There's a song about that, so.
And that's what kicked off your music career, was that early
I would
age?
say, honestly, yeah, Connie had a big role in, like, influence and things I listened to. Like, listened to tons of Pink Floyd, riding around in her little truck with these gigantic speakers in the back.
Production-wise, is there anything that you're most proud of, or writing-wise, anything you're most proud of coming up on this album?
I'm really proud of the fact that we finally we're confident enough to just do it ourselves, because I think we probably should have been doing it like this for a long time now.
By do it yourself, you mean like without a label, or?
In the past, we've had to figure out how to, have the means to go into a studio and record a record, pay a producer, and I feel like we've always sort of come out with some sort of compromised sound of what we hear in our minds we should sound like. So I think this time around, whether it's better or not, you guys can be the judge. But I feel like we captured more of what we would want to put out and release, and that, I don't know, I'm proud of that. I'm proud that we're like actually did that instead of let other people decide what we should sound like for a change.
Now, is there anything else you guys would like to add for the listeners?
And we'll have the record out hopefully in the next few months. And
Well, thank you so much for your time, guys.
thanks.
You have been listening to Recess with Spinelli, WSPN 91.1 FM, Skidmore College Radio. And today we have been speaking with the Features out of Nashville, Tennessee.
Remember